Magandang Biyernes po sa inyong lahat. Ngayon po ay June 10, 2022 at welcome po sa The Stock Market Today Friday edition. Kung first time niyo po sa channel na ito, ako po si Benji Chodoro, isang retired bank officer na nagsimula mag-invest sa Philippine stock market noong 2007, and I do this report daily. If you like the content, I invite you to subscribe to my channel at kung meron po kayong stocks na gustong ipa-review, paki-comment lang po sa comment box at aking pa-prioritize. Hindi po ako financial advisor. Anything I say in this channel ay hindi po financial advice. Ang ating news ay tungkol sa revival ng OPSF kasama ang ating financial headlines at ang resulta ng trading sa ating PSE ngayong araw, ika-10 ng Hunyo 2022, dito lamang sa The Stock Market Today. Okay, yung ating financial headlines po ay matatagpuan po sa ating BDO Securities. Ano po? In our financial headlines, Philippine trade deficit widens in April. Jokno says Philippines on the way to full recovery. And in our company news, ICT unit investing 101.6 million in Argentina. Then IFC provides 8.3 million to telco tower firms Philippine entry. However, yung ating main news is found in the Philippine Star. It's actually a stock commentary, no? Oil price stabilization fund revival will work against the poor, says a state think tank. State think tank Philippine Institute for Developmental Studies or PIDS said Thursday that reviving the Oil Price Stabilization Fund, a now defunct buffer against sudden surges of oil prices, is an anti-poor measure which is seen to mainly benefit those who can use up large amounts of petroleum. This week, domestic oil companies announced another big-time price hike in their petroleum products shortly after the government reported that inflation further quickened to 5.4% in May. When the OPSF was in place, oil companies contributed to it when crude prices in the world market were low and drew from it when crude prices were high. The government partially subsidized the OPSF, which led to a budget deficit. The OPSF, established under the administration of President Ferdinand Marcos Sr., was abolished in 1996, and nearly 2 decades later, his son, President-elect Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr., has proposed setting up another OPSF in a bid to help consumers rather than removing the fuel excise taxes on imports. Reviving the OPSF, I think, will be anti-poor. It is usually the rich who consume a higher volume of petroleum. The subsidy from the poor will disproportionately benefit the rich more than the poor, PDIS Senior Research Fellow Adoracion Navarro said in a briefing on Thursday, citing her recently published study. She added that bringing back the OPSF may cause the government to shell out more for it by using other funds intended for anti-poverty programs. I think programs on targeted assistance to the poor is preferable to the OPSF, she said. Ito po yung 4-piece at meron din pong yung pantawid pasada sa mga jeepney drivers at sa mga taxi para sa mga jeepney drivers more. Since the start of the year, pump prices have been rising due to developments in the world markets such as the geopolitical war between Ukraine and Russia. The continuous increase in fuel prices prompted the government to roll out subsidies for affected sectors, including those in the transportation, agriculture, and fisheries industries. Reacting to Navarro's presentation, Department of Energy Oil Industry Management Bureau Director Rino Abad said there was indeed fiscal harm in maintaining such a fund. For the Philippine Institute of Petroleum Executive Director Rafael Kapinpin, the OPSF did not serve its purpose. 3 of our members were participants in that era and all agree that the frequent changes in the fund's role and deviation from its intended purpose led to it not accomplishing its objectives, he said during the event. He added that the government's money is better spent for other essential social services. Okay, alam niyo po, itong OPSF, ito inaabutan ko po, no? 1973, I think, up to 1990s, ay meron pong Oil Price Stabilization Fund. Ang concept po nito, yung mga oil prices ay unusually high than the normal, no? So, for example, to illustrate, halimbawa, yung current market prices ay 40 pesos. Para magkaroon ng fund, syempre, tataasan mo ng konti yan, no? So, yung 40 pesos, gagawin mong 50 pesos. Okay? Yung 10 pesos na yun, pupunta yun sa OPSF or Oil Price Stabilization Fund. Ngayon, pagka tumaas yung fuel prices, say for instance, from 40, naging 55 yung market price. 50 pesos pa rin ang magiging presyo niya. Yung 5 pesos, kukunin yun from the fund. Yun ang ginagawa ng mga oil companies. Of course, initially, nagko-contribute dyan ng government, So, nagko-contribute siya sa Oil Price Stabilization Fund initially, but to maintain the stability, na-maintain niya so a certain level like 50 pesos. Ngayon, kung bumaba uli yan, say, sa 45, yung 5 pesos na yun, pupunta uli sa fund. So, ganun ang sistema ng OPSF. So, the price of gasoline products and diesel and oil remain artificially at a certain level. Hindi siya market prices actually. So, yun po yung concept. And people are saying, and analysts and technocrats are saying na hindi yan maganda kung hindi yan market prices. And maintaining the fund is another thing, Kasi, para ma-maintain mo yung fund, kailangan meron kang buffer na mini-maintain. And or market prices remain more than the artificial price of oil, then mauubos po yung fund. Yun po. Magko-contribute po yung government doon just to maintain the stability. So, it's not wise, actually. Mas maganda ng market prices, you charge excise taxes, and then you give ayuda to the affected sector. Yung sa mahihirap, dun sa mga drivers, doon sa poor, meron silang 4Ps. Yun po ang aking take dyan. Okay, so let's take a look now at your comments. Tingnan po natin kung meron po kayong comments. Sabi ni Philip Gons, "Hi sir, good day. Ano po nang meron sa PHA?" Actually, Philip, hindi ko po alam. I tried to take a look at the news, but I don't know what's happening to PHA. Pero makikita nyo po yung PHA, nagkaroon ng bounce And 2 or 3 days na siyang malakas, napataas yung kanyang movement. Mamaya tingnan po natin si PHA. So, meron pa dito, Isip Roman. Habol sir, si ICT. So, I think I was able to do that yesterday. So, yun po, So, si Philip Gons, hindi ko po alam ang nangyayari kay PHA. Baka yung mga ibang subscribers natin meron alam, ay i-comment lang nyo po. Okay? So, let's now go to the Philippine Stock Exchange and the Philippine Stock Exchange Index on what transpired today. Naku, laki ng bagsak ng index. Nasa 228.55 points down or 3.38% drop. And this is the highest drop since March 14. On March 14, it went down 4.15%. So this is the largest drop since then, ano? And yung RSI natin ay nasa 38 or almost 39, ay bearish po siya. Yung market activity naman, 131 companies declined, 45 advanced, while 40 remained unchanged. Yung all-share index natin nasa pula, 2.46% down or 88.73 points. Lahat ng ating sectoral indices ay bumaba. Puro pula po ito, led by properties at 4.20%, then followed by the holding companies at 3.62%. So most of the stocks now are at a bargain. No? So yung most active stocks we will be reviewing. First, we will be doing PHA, then ICT, SMPH, Ali, SM, and SCC or Semirara. So PHA po muna tayo. So I was trying to take a look at kung anong balita dito, pero wala akong makitang balita, no? But so far, wala siyang balita dito. Pero before we go with the review, let me share with you this. I just saw this in PhilStar about the US. Nothing to suggest US will have a recession. Sabi ni Yellen, yung si Janet Yellen, US Treasury Secretary. The United States is unlikely to suffer an economic downturn despite sky-high inflation, US Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said Thursday. There's nothing to suggest that there's a recession in the works, she said during an interview with the New York Times. The US economy has recovered strongly from the COVID-19 damage, but the highest inflation in 4 decades and supply chain snarls exacerbated by Russia's invasion of Ukraine are increasing pessimism. The U.S. Labor Department is set to release in May the CPI or Consumer Price Index. Analysts expect the data could potentially show a modest slowdown in the torrid 8.3% annual pace. The U.S. Federal Reserve has begun raising interest rates aggressively as policymakers attempt to combat inflationary pressures without triggering a recession. Yun ang delikado, recession. No? Yellen expressed confidence that they will be successful. I believe there is a path through this that entails a soft landing. But the swiftness of the Fed's planned moves has increased fears of a recession, generally defined as 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth. Yun po ang panganib ngayon or risk ngayon ng US na magkaroon siya ng recession. Hopefully ay hindi po magkaroon ng ganon at hindi po yan mag-spill over sa atin. No? Now, let's take a look at PHA. Ito yung Premier Horizon Alliance. Okay, mukhang nagkaroon siya ng turnaround dito, no, with 2 successive green candlesticks here, and from an RSI of 34, bearish po, naging bullish po siya, no? Naging 56 yesterday, or the other day, 67 yesterday, and now it's at 64. Nagkaroon siya ng consolidation or a sideways movement today, no? So from a closing last June 7 of 41, naging 52 na si Premier Horizon. I think this is a breakout here, no? Kasi ang gain niya dito noong June 8 is 14.63%. And yesterday it was 12.77%. So may nangyari dito pero hindi ko po malaman kung ano ang balita dito kay PHA. So ang pinaka-support po niya nandito po nasa 41, while the resistance, let's take the MA100 as the resistance at 56. So next we have ICT. Si ICT, okay, nagkaroon siya ng red yesterday, but today nag-open siya at 201.60 and closed at 202, kaya green candlestick po dito, but in reality red po sa kanan, which means that the comparative price is yesterday's, ano? So yesterday's closing was 203. It ended at 202 or 1 peso down. Kaya po, red result po yun nandito. Yung presyo po niya is going down. So yung pinaka-support, nandito po sa 203, while ICT's resistance, pinakamalapit po nandito sa area to, nasa 220. Yan. So, the trend for ICT is going, well, it's a downward trend. And then, SMPH, mukhang all red to eh. All red itong major o mga index stocks natin. No? Another red candlestick here. Okay, nasa 37 po si SM Prime Holdings. So, it's still holding support at EMA 100. EMA 100 will be our support. This is the fourth successive red candlestick. So, yung RSI niya from a positive 63 naging 47 to 48 or almost neutral. No? Ngayon, ang pinaka-support ay malayo naman ang support niya. Nandito po sa 33, 34. Support and resistance, hindi po siya exact points, but these are areas. And the resistance nandito po sa 39.55 or almost 40. Okay? So, if you will buy on support, sell on resistance, maaari po kayong kumita dyan. Then, si Ayala Land. Si Ali naman, okay, another red candlestick. So, in general, Friday is profit taking. You know? Most of the traders do some selling on their stocks. So, yung upward movement ni Ali was disrupted today with a 1 peso 70 centavos loss to 30 pesos, no? Yung support nandito po sa 27.74 and the resistance nearest that I can find is at 32. So RSI is down, nasa 47.01. Tapos naman si SM. SM also suffered a downturn, but in general it has been moving down since December 2021 ang umpisa ng downturn niya, no? And it has been moving downwards ever since. So, kung magdodraw po tayo ng parallel channel and the resistance follows the 50-day exponential moving average with some overshoots here. So, yung resistance natin nasa 860, 856 to 860, while the support is at 782 based on our parallel channel. But, well, it's supposed to move sideways now, but the red candlestick made it bearish. So, RSI from yesterday's 52 naging 41. Kung titignan po natin ang fundamentals ni SM, tignan natin kung magkano ang presyo ni BDO SEC. Ano? Ang presyo niya, SM Investments, 1,160. So, fundamental price po niya or a 35% upside. That's for SM. Okay, let's do SCC. I think I almost missed this out. Ano? Sige, SEC continues to be bullish, although it ended with a red candlestick today, losing 1 peso 60 centavos. So, yung kanyang closing price of 34.10 is still higher than our 20-day exponential moving average of 33. So, ano pa rin siya? Pataas pa rin po ang trend ni SCC with RSI at 54, almost 55, meaning that there is still an upward trend. And I think the support level for SCC is at EMA 20 at 33. Nasa support level na po siya. Lagyan natin ng support dito. And the resistance, I see it forming here. Yan po, nasa 36 po ang pinaka-resistance niya. So that's SCC, which continues to move higher. But since in general Friday is a profit-taking day at the PSE ay bumaba po siya. Okay, so yan po ang ating report sa stock market. June 10, 2022. Independence Day nga pala sa Sunday, no? So, natapat na linggo. So, happy Independence Day. Ito po si Benji Chidoro, nagpapaalala, investment in knowledge pays the best interest. Maraming salamat sa inyong pagsubaybay at hanggang sa muli. Stay safe, God bless, and bye for now.